But first, it's the mental health condition dominating the lives of many families, reshaping schools and workplaces across the country. 1 in 20 Australians now lives with ADHD, and that number continues to grow. But what's behind the surge? Tonight we hear from the doctors, the families, the schools and the skeptics to find out. Ashlee Mullany investigates.
ADHD, which is kind of like this motor running all the time, lives in you. But you can tune that motor, you can put the revs down.
What do you do when ADHD is impacting your whole life and your family? You call in reinforcements.
I'm Alex Gray and we're a family of 6 with ADHD.
Living on the outskirts of Sydney, this blended family needs every acre they have.
Feels like a circus right now, and it looks like a circus.
It is a circus. These are my monkeys and this is my circus.
Alex's 14-year-old daughter Ella has ADHD. Chris's 8-year-old son Samuel has ADHD. Together, the couple has Amelia, 3, and Spencer, 2.
Why are you so convinced that they do have ADHD?
Genetics. Genetics.
When I don't have my medication, it's like I'm this person that's constantly attacking people. Not like attacking them as in threatening them, but attacking them as in I'm always in their face.
And how does ADHD make you feel?
The way I explain it is it's a party in my head that just always goes on and never stops.
No, like 15 different conversations going on in your head and not being fully present in any of the conversations.
We've travelled to the Gold Coast for a look inside a school unlike any other in Australia.
Regardless of if you've got ADHD or not, whether you're diagnosed or not, whether you're medicated or not, it's these life skills and these strategies that are really going to help you as young men.
Hands up here who has ADHD.
Oh, thank you.
Bowen, Quinn, Dylan and Jack struggled in the regular school system, so they've ended up here at the Men of Business Academy to finish year 11 and 12.
What does ADHD feel like?
Feels like you got this constant voice in your head and you got like 1,000 thoughts running through your mind at once. You can never just focus on that one thing. You've always got something else going through your mind.
You just got high energy, really. You're just like real energetic throughout the day.
I just can't sit still. Always got to do something, always having thoughts in my head. You know, just stuff, something always is going on with me, like all day.
You fiddle a lot, that's what I do. Like even in class, like tap my legs or I fiddle with paper or a pen, things like that.
I feel like my brain just kind of moves at its own speed.
How many of the boys here have ADHD?
Out of the 240 boys we have, we know we've got 90 diagnosed.
Hey, bro. What's going on? Tell me about how the business is going.
But that is 90 that have been diagnosed, and there's a whole heap of boys that have never had the ability to be diagnosed.
Hey, bro. How you going, man? You're all right? Not too bad. Nice.
Marco Rene founded the school 5 years ago.
I love it, man. Take care.
Turns out he also has ADHD.
When did you get this ADHD diagnosis?
At 48. So you start to be able to answer those little things, or why you couldn't sit still, or why you can't focus, or why, you were forever bouncing around the classroom. Or I think, back in, my day at school, I don't even know, that's 30, 40 years ago, I don't even know
Things have
whether that would have,
changed.
there would have been a diagnosis. There would have been someone to see about that.
The first line of defence against ADHD is stimulant medication. Across Australia, the go-to drugs are Ritalin, Concerta and Vyvanse. All are in short supply.
Hands up if you've ever tried ADHD medication. Keep your hand up if you're still on ADHD medication. Why did you decide to stop?
First tablet I tried, and it sort of made it worse. I felt sick all day. And then at maybe 4 o'clock after school, it'd just be a massive wave of anxiety. Just feel even worse.
I was put on Ritalin pretty fast, and over the years I was bumped up through different dosages, different release times, that sort of thing. And then eventually they kind of went, this isn't working.
I was diagnosed at 13. I tried Vyvanse, and for me, it just sort of like, yeah, you're like calm throughout the day, but like when it wears off, it just like hits you straight away, but you don't really feel like yourself.
Our society has become incredibly medicalised. We don't have long-term follow-up studies to know what impact these drugs have on the growing brain. So that we always have to be incredibly cautious about giving drugs to children. But that's exactly the opposite to what's happening, like being given willy-nilly to children.
Professor John Giardini is a controversial voice in the loud debate over ADHD.
You can't talk about this honestly without making some fairly provocative statements.
Do you see any circumstances, though, where children or adults could benefit from ADHD medication?
Look, there's no doubt. The children themselves don't benefit necessarily when they are put on ADHD medications, but everybody else does.
Former teacher and West Australian politician Dr. Martin Whiteley has been tracking the diagnosis and prescribing rates for ADHD in Australia for 30 years. A thorn in the side of what he calls the ADHD industry.
When I was a teacher in class, these heavily medicated kids weren't a problem for me. They were compliant and really easy to control. So there's lots of external benefits in drugging a child, and we call it medication, but let's be honest about it, they're amphetamines or similar drugs. There are external benefits in it, but the child doesn't benefit.
A little recap on the conversations last week.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about boys with ADHD?
Are you treating others with kindness and respect?
I feel like the biggest misconception is that they're naughty boys. You know, I feel like their hyperactivity and their ability not to focus maybe isolates them as being, okay, well, who's that naughty kid? Why isn't he sitting still? Why isn't he focused? Why isn't he being able to understand what we're trying to teach him?
What's it been like coming to this school? How has the school catered to your needs and your ADHD?
If you're having a shit day, like, am I allowed to swear on there?
It's okay.
If you're having a bad day, like, you can just talk to literally any teacher and they'll just, like, you know, sit down and talk you through it. Like, ADHD doesn't mean you're, like, you know, a Martian or anything. Like, you're still a person.
So it's important that you have these strategies to be able to, I guess, be the best version of you in the real world.
It's not only Marco and the boys who have ADHD, some of the teachers do too, and they speak openly about their condition.
It's always good to think about how that feels when it happens to you.
Head of teaching Sashi Fox was diagnosed 2 years ago.
Being able to be really open about who I am and my ADHD in front of the boys means that if I am having an off day or I've forgotten to take my medication or I need to take my medication in class, I just can. They don't judge me for it. You know, it's just normal.
Getting an ADHD diagnosis was once the exclusive domain of psychiatrists and paediatricians. But to ease the enormous wait times and cost, specialist GPs in New South Wales will soon be able to diagnose the condition and prescribe medication.
One of the good things about ADHD is that it is very treatable.
Professor David Coghill is one of the world's leading experts on ADHD.
I'm not aware of any evidence to show that treating ADHD has negative impacts on people's lives. Now, those naysayers, those who are against ADHD, really are against the use of medication. It's not the ADHD per se.
If you really want to understand ADHD, follow the money trail.
Dr. Martin Whiteley is on the warpath over ADHD.
What I'm asking people to believe is that the core principle of economics, which is self-interest, is driving ADHD prescribing and is driving the ADHD industry rather than what you would hope, which is patient wellbeing.
Many say the drugs have been life-changing, but Martin's increasingly sceptical of Big Pharma.
The global sales of ADHD drugs, I mean, it's big business. It is huge business. And it gives the ADHD industry massive resources and massive influence. I look on it in awe and I just think this is a brilliant triumph of marketing. But it's not medicine.
Can you actually test for this?
So there is no test for ADHD, but there are accurate and good quality assessments.
Psychiatrists rely on a series of questions for patients, but there's no blood test, no genetic test, no brain scan.
What is the key difference between an ADHD mind and a non-ADHD mind?
Oh, that's a nice way to put it. Somebody with ADHD has difficulties with focus, concentration, organisation. They're often forgetful. They often also have difficulties with stopping before thinking, before doing.
Do you believe that ADHD is a real disorder?
I think the label should be thrown away. I think the label is totally useless. It doesn't mean that all children diagnosed ADHD don't have problems, but what the label does is it stops you looking for the underlying cause.
It's very easy to become a diagnoser of ADHD, and it's also very lucrative. And so we have to be a little bit sceptical about the motivations of people who set up specialist practices to diagnose ADHD. Some of them are doing responsible, careful assessments, but for every one of those, there are many people who see a way to make a fast buck out of this.
The world's go-to authority on the condition has become Dr. TikTok. Hashtag ADHD has more than 35 billion views.
You mentioned social media. There's now billions of posts online about ADHD. Is it a blessing or a curse?
I think it's both. I think it's good that people now are more aware that ADHD is a real thing, that it impacts seriously on people's lives. But I've got colleagues who have looked at the social media posts, particularly they looked at TikTok posts about ADHD and found that most of the information about ADHD that's there on social media isn't accurate. So only around 30% of the posts actually were based on facts, based on evidence that we have. And so one of the problems with some of the social media is that people are getting a misunderstanding and a misrepresentation of what ADHD is.
As few as 10 years ago, psychiatrists as a whole completely avoided the field of ADHD. And then some entrepreneur recognised that there was money to be made here, and now there are many psychiatrists who are specialising in ADHD.
Hi, I'm Dr. Sasha Hamdani, and here are 5 things you need to know about teens with ADHD.
Dr. Sasha Hamdani, a practicing board-certified psychiatrist in the United States, embraced social media to give advice about ADHD.
This is a message for high-functioning women who have ADHD or suspect that they have ADHD.
So do you think, Sasha, that social media is a good place to educate people on ADHD, for people to learn about ADHD?
I think it's an accessible place for people to get information about ADHD, because I think that it's a wonderful way of disseminating information, which we haven't had for medicine for a long time. In 2020. So originally my journey started out with, wow, there's a lot of bad information on here. Let me put some videos out from a psychiatrist that is accurate. And then it just kind of snowballed from there. If you have ADHD and you freak out over small noises that don't seem to bother anyone else, it's because your nervous system is overwhelmed.
And what's been your personal experience with ADHD?
How much time do you have? I was diagnosed with ADHD in 4th grade, and in that time, ADHD really wasn't talked about, but I was started on medication shortly after. I continued, and it made a huge difference in my life. Here's the #1 reason people feel like their focus isn't improving.
The online audience embraced Dr. Hamdani. She's now regarded as an ADHD influencer.
You now have millions of followers on social media. How has your life changed since you first started posting those videos?
I've gotten more annoying, I can tell you that. I've gotten more insufferable because it's become a bigger part of my life and I talk about it more. But also I think that this social media, this introduction has given me a lot of opportunity, which I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. So I think it's wonderful.
Up next, how Big Pharma is spreading its message.
How much do they pay you to post about ADHD?
Plus, the changing face of ADHD.
There's been a massive explosion in the rates of prescribing to adults.
It's taken a very long time, and I've kind of put my kids first before myself.
Yeah. 1 million Australians are now living with ADHD, and a number of them are turning to ADHD coaches for help.
I've had I think 60 jobs. I've had 300 cars, made millions of dollars, lost millions of dollars.
There's nothing subtle about Rob Sanasi. A former marketing executive, he's always lived life in the fast lane. Now his focus is slowing down.
Did you ever imagine that at 62 you would be an ADHD coach?
No. I didn't think I'd make it past 40.
Behind some of Sydney's most successful professionals, Rob is managing their ADHD.
It's I've got doctors, surgeons, solicitors. I've never met an ADHD person that I haven't really liked.
Really, the purpose of doing this assessment here, you've already been diagnosed, so that's not what this is about.
His approach is unconventional.
So basically, I go through their life, pretty much, if they allow me, with a big ADHD machete. And I just chop it to pieces. You don't need that, you don't need that, you don't need that. Because if your life is complicated on the outside, your mind's already complicated. There's 20, 30, 40 things going on there. It's just hell.
The Greys chose Rob because he's one of them. He was diagnosed with ADHD when he was 55.
Chris, where's the beers?
A bit early yet.
How are you, man?
All right, how you been?
Good to see you.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah. And how the kids going with the transition?
Yeah, things have been going well. Definitely try and implement the things that we talk about.
Yeah.
How has your life changed since that diagnosis? Are you functioning differently and are you medicated now?
Yep, I'm medicated. Made a big difference to me. First time, I'm on, 60 milligram Vyvanse, which is, pretty high.
You take that every day?
It's too risky not to take it. If I didn't take my meds, I'm just a bit more dangerous to myself, to others, what I say, what I do.
Rob himself has ADHD, so what are those meetings like sometimes?
They're fun. No, it's good, but you can tell there's a lot of ADHD in the room.
Young women are now the fastest growing group being diagnosed with ADHD in Australia, In 2020, nearly 48,000 women were prescribed ADHD medication. Last year, that number more than tripled.
It's staggering. If you look at the history of ADHD, it was initially boys, then it became, the ADHD industry started to argue about gender equity and girls being misdiagnosed and promoting inattentive ADHD, and that's seen an explosion in the rates of girls being prescribed. And then the ADHD industry started to promote adult ADHD. And there's been a massive explosion in the rates of prescribing to adults, not just in Australia, but globally.
So you're not medicated at the moment?
Not medicated, no.
Alex Gray is one of the growing number of women who says her ADHD was missed as a child.
My very, very first experience was when I was a kid. I was still in primary school. My dad took me to the doctors and went, "Yeah, I think she's got ADHD." And the doctor turned around and said, "ADHD doesn't exist, but even if it did, it's definitely not in girls."
I see our girls and women coming forward who have had ADHD all of their lives, but it's been missed, it's not been recognised. And I think it's one of the positive things that girls and women are now coming forward and saying, could this be ADHD?
Do you have any concerns at all that doctors may be over-prescribing ADHD medication?
Yes, I do. Yes, and over-prescribing medication would not be correct. Whilst we still very clearly have many people where ADHD has been missed as a diagnosis, there are also people who are being misdiagnosed with ADHD.
With the current surge in demand for a diagnosis, Alex is still on a wait list to see her psychiatrist.
It's at least a 6 to 12 month wait to be able to get into a psychiatrist. So then I finally got the referral to the GP. I got that in October last year, and I can't get into someone until October this year. It's taken a very long time, and I've kind of put my kids first before myself. So now that they're all kind of settled and they're in their therapies and they're ready to go, it's my turn.
While women like Alex wait for a formal diagnosis, social media feeds are flooded with ADHD content. Some psychiatrists have become influencers, but they're not talking about lipsticks or hair care, they're talking about ADHD. In posts, sometimes paid for by the very companies who make the drugs.
It's a 24/7 disorder that often sticks around into adulthood. So it's not just for kids. So if someone told you that, they're wrong.
Some of your posts say that you are a partner of a particular pharmaceutical company. How much do they pay you to post about ADHD?
So there is one company that I have posted with, and I have posted with the educational branch of that to provide free resources for people. And in terms of payment, I swear to you, I'm not sure. You would have to ask my management team.
Can you be a trusted voice on this if you're posting on behalf of a pharmaceutical company?
I think so, and I think it all depends on disclosure, and I think it depends on the capacity that you're working with a team like that, because at the end of the day, your job as a provider is to help people understand more about things.
In the background, there's always the influence of the pharmaceutical industry, and the pharmaceutical industry have marketing departments with very well-trained, very sophisticated people with very deep pockets. And if we doctors think that we're smarter than they are, then I think we're deluding ourselves. And then acting against us are the social influencers who want to chastise anybody who's at all critical of the idea that ADHD is the best explanation for the difficulties they're having.
Is ADHD a life sentence, or is it something that can be cured?
For some people with ADHD, they do grow out of it. Now, the data from America suggests that around 2/3 of people who have ADHD as children will still have significant difficulties related to their ADHD as adults. But what I tell my families that I see is that we can't predict who's going to grow out of it and who isn't.
I think there'll be a lot of other boys watching this in schools around Australia that might think there's something wrong with them because they've gone through something similar. So what would be your message?
You know, if you're trying to be someone you're not, it's not going to work. Just be yourself.
Yeah, like the whole world's full of judgment. Like just sort of like block it out, you know, and you'll be sweet.
What does the future look like for you? Are you waving the white flag? Are you going to war with Big Pharma?
The ADHD industry is going to keep rolling on and rolling on and rolling on, and it's going to keep finding, you know, target markets that haven't been exploited yet. So you can't beat it, but, you know, we'll have a go. So the answer's both. You know, I'm going to fight it, but I fully expect to lose.
There's a real need to give the message to people that they're not broken, they don't have broken brains. What they need to look for is some kind of explanation within their social circumstances, their situation, that explains the difficulties that they're having. But you then need to be supported through that process and your feelings validated rather than medicated.
And if you have any questions about ADHD or concerns about your own health, please speak with your doctor.